Hello. Y'all, I fixed my hair today. I got my new earrings in from my friend. Aren't they cute? I very, very rarely wear studs. But I thought I might try wearing some studs again. So when y'all get on, y'all say hey. Say hello when you get on. If you catch the replay, put hashtag replay. I actually curled my hair today and it's not even Sunday. So anyway, hey Destiny. Tonight is not going to be a makeup live. Tonight is going to be hopefully a helpful live to a lot of you who might have some littles. You're trying to teach them to read, and y'all, hey Linda, teaching somebody to read is tough. It really is. So when y'all get on, y'all say hey, and if you want to spread the love, feel free to. Feel free to do that. Hold on. I'm just going to cover that up. Okay, so I have an 8-year-old and an almost 6-year-old. My 8-year-old has been reading since he's at least 5, and my daughter is not quite 6. She's in 1st grade. She started school a little bit early, and she is a pretty good reader. Okay, now she gets her D's and her B's mixed up, but that's pretty normal, so don't worry about that a whole lot. So anyway, if y'all don't know who I am, my name is Carly Tumlinson, okay? And usually I do makeup lives and things like that, but tonight I thought it would be good to kind of get on here with people that have been kind of forced into homeschooling with COVID. See, we homeschooled before, so this is nothing unusual for us, but with COVID, a lot of people have been forced into it, and it can be very frustrating. Very frustrating if you don't want to homeschool but you're having to, and then your kid is not really being able to read well and you're having just a really hard time. So hopefully these rules will help. I want to wait and see if a couple more people get on before I do the rules, because I don't really want to have to repeat all of them as the live goes on. So y'all tell me, what have y'all been up to today, and what does this weekend entail for you? For us, not a whole lot. I might mow the grass tomorrow, or at least some of it. We have a lot of land, so I might. I don't know. Haven't decided. We were going to do school because we had missed a couple days last week, but I think we're going to take the day off and not do school tomorrow. So who knows what we'll do. But anyway, like I was saying, being forced into homeschooling, like a lot of people are with all this COVID mess and digital learning and stuff, can be very frustrating for people because they didn't even want to homeschool in the first place, right? Hi, Shannon. And homeschooling is tough, y'all. It's tough being home with your kids nonstop, having to teach them, but it's also extremely, extremely rewarding. So we homeschooled before all of this, like I said, and we used the curriculum Abeka. The reason that we chose Abeka is because, number one, I used it whenever I was a kid, because I was homeschooled my whole life. So I used it when I was a kid. It's accredited, which means like if ever we send our kids to public school or they go to college, the school that they're doing, they'll have credit for. Okay, and every state is different. I know that Texas is one of the easiest states to homeschool in, but some states you have to register your kids, some states you have to get them tested, etc. So like wherever you're at, you would need to find that stuff out. Another reason we do Abeka is because it's faith-based. It's a Christian-based school program, which I like because I don't have to worry about, them learning things I don't want them to learn about. When we learn science, it's creationism and things like that, and that's what I want to teach them. And then also it's very structured. So your child's going to have to learn different ways, right? Not everybody's going to learn the same way. But Abeka is very structured, which works for me because it's kind of like a list and I can follow it. And I do really well with that. I'm a very much a list writer and follower. Like I'll even write things down that I did. Like let's say I had to clean the house and I did something extra, I'll write that down just to cross it off. Okay, that's just the way I am. All right, so let's talk about a couple rules. And if y'all have any rules, things that you have found helpful with your kids, please feel free to leave it in the comments. Oh, nice. Yeah, I need to go vote. I do need to go do that. But nice for half day. And nice for lunch with your mom and aunts. That's awesome. I do need to vote. Okay, so let's talk, hey Tara, about some reading rules. Okay, so I did a live like this about a year ago, and I had everything written down and showed people, but everything was backwards because, you know, when you write something down and you show it, it's just backwards on video. So hopefully this will make sense by just talking about it. All right, so there are 2 vowel rules, right? We have, first of all, I'm guessing everybody knows short vowels and long vowels, right? A, E, I, and A, E, I, O, U, right? So that's basic. But we have the 1 vowel rule. And so the 1 vowel rule is, like cat. Actually, let's use the word kit, K-I-T. When there's 1 vowel in a word, it usually makes the short sound. Okay, so that kind of will help them whenever they're looking at a word and they're trying to figure it out. If the word is bat, they're not going to say bait because you tell them, oh, well, what's the rule? Remember the 1 vowel rule? Oh, yeah, when there's 1 vowel in a rule, it usually makes it short sound, so they'll go bat, okay? The 2 vowel rule, and if y'all want pictures of like my rule note or whatever, my notes of rules, I'll gladly rewrite it neatly and send y'all pictures, okay? The 2 vowel rule, let's use the word kite, K-I-T-E. When there are 2 vowels in a word, the first, this is usually, okay, the first makes its long sound and the second one is silent, like a ninja. That's what I added for my daughter this year because it made her remember it. So the first vowel in kite is long, and the second vowel is silent. So that second vowel is what makes that first one long, but it's quiet. It doesn't say a word. So that way, when she's looking at it, she says kit, I can say no. What does, when there's 2 vowels in a word, what happens? Oh, the first one's usually long, the second one's silent, and so she'll go kite. Okay? So those 2 rules are crucial, in my opinion, on teaching them to learn when a vowel is long or short, right? So when there's 1 vowel in a word, it usually makes its short sound, like kit, K-I-T, and then when there's 2 vowels in a word, like K-I-T-E and kite, the first one's usually long and the second one is silent. All right, so now let's talk about the K and C rule. I'm going to try to write something down. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Is that backwards? I think it might be. And don't even ask me to write it where y'all can read it because I don't know. So let's talk about the K and the C rule. So how is a kid supposed to know that cat is C-A-T and not K-A-T, right? Because they both say K. So how are they supposed to know? K goes with I and E. C goes with the other 3, A, O, and U. Okay, so when the word comes up and it's, I don't know, it could be the word cake. Why would they not spell it K-A-K-E? Because you could tell them, remember what goes with A, what goes with that vowel, and then they could remember the rule. K goes with I and E, C goes with the other 3, A, O, and U. Okay, so it's C-A-K-E. Does that make sense? Y'all throw up some hearts if that makes sense. So a couple ways that they have showed me in the book to help them remember is this. So K with a line goes with I and E, C goes with the other 3, A, O, and U. Or you can do this, just little ways. You know, kids are very visual a lot of times, so any little way that you can like help them to remember something. Kit Kat. Well, that doesn't follow the rule. See, so it's always usual. Hold on. I dropped my paper. Okay, so then the other way would be like you draw like a K like this and a C, and I know it's backwards, you guys, just bear with me. You put an I and an E in it, and then an A and an O and a U in the C. K goes with I and E, C goes with the other three. A, O, U. So that one's a very beneficial rule as well. Okay. So another thing, now this is first grade, some of this is first grade stuff, but it can apply to kindergarten too, is CK and KE. When do you use those at the end of a word? Like bike or back. Okay, they both say k. So how do you teach your kid to know which one is used, you know, in which word? Look, could not get that out. So CK usually follows a short vowel. So like back, the A is short, ah. So the k sound that's going to go with it is going to be CK. Okay, or kick. Is that a long vowel or short vowel? It's short, I. So you're going to put CK with that. Y'all say hey when you hop on. Cake. Is that long or short? It's long A. So we're going to put KE at the end. Okay? Or broke. Okay? What vowel is that, long or short? It's long, so we're going to put KE at the end. So for CK and KE, those can be confusing because they both say k. And how is a kid supposed to learn to read or write and know how to spell? Well, you could just tell them, remember, what comes after a short vowel? CK. Or if it's long, what comes after a long vowel? KE. Okay, so that's just a way that you can kind of help them be able to pick between, when they're writing, learn between KE and CK. Okay, we're about halfway through the list. I hope this is beneficial. I know there's not a whole lot of people on here right now, but that doesn't mean that there won't be watchers later. And I know how frustrating reading can be. Like, sometimes my daughter will look at a word still, and she'll be like, free. And the word's like dog. And I'm like, what? I don't even understand, right? So I was just hoping that some of these things would help. Okay. So when we teach phonics, right, phonics is the sounds of letters. So, hey, Kristen. So, like, top, we would top, put them together, top. Well, there are some words, like go, right, that we're just like, okay, here you go, read this word. They're going to say ga if they follow it phonetically. So there's just a couple rules that like kids need to memorize. They just need to memorize, right? Hey, Charlene. So one of the things is O at the end of a short word makes its long sound. Almost always. Okay? Go. I can't even think of any words right now. What's another O at the end of a short word? Not two, because two is a sight word. But O at the end of a short word almost always makes its long sound. E at the end of a short word almost always makes its long sound. Me, he, she, we, right? We're not saying we, he, she, and me. Yeah, there you go. No. Thank you. So we're saying E at the end of short words usually makes its long sound. So when they say C-M-E, they're not going to say me. They're going to say, you tell them the rule. Remember, E at the end of a short word makes its what? Long sound. Me. Okay? So O at the end of a short word usually makes its long sound. E at the end of the short word usually makes its long sound. And then Y at the end of a short word usually makes the I sound. Okay? So when you see Y at the end of a word, well, hopefully these tips will help, Charlene. You can go back and watch the replay. If you see Y at the end of a word like fly, right? Sky, my, cry, we're not saying the typical Y sound. When Y comes at the end of a short word, it usually makes its I, it says I, not the long sound. It just says I. Okay, and these are just rules they're going to have to memorize. The English language is a hard one to learn, right? It's a hard one to learn to read. It's a hard one to learn to write. So if they can just memorize these basic little rules, and little kids, man, they soak up these rules like crazy. My daughter can remember all of them, and because though we repeat them and go over them every day, she's like, Mom, I already know this, and I'm like, I know, but repetition is key. That's what's going to like get it in your head. So O at the end of a short word and E at the end of a short word usually say their long sound. Y at the end of a short word usually says I. Okay? Another rule in learning to read and write is, hey Denise, y'all say hey when you get on. F, S, and L at the end of words are usually doubled. Okay? So when we write ball, we don't write it B-A-L. Just knowing that F, S, and L are usually doubled at the end of a word, you can know that you put L-L. Cuff, C-U-F-F. Right? I'm trying to think. Class, I guess we'll go with class. C-L-A-S-S. So if the word ends in F, S, or L, it usually is doubled, but it only makes one sound. Okay? So, again, I mean, these rules aren't going to be magic, right? You're not going to like tell your kid this once and they're going to get it. You're going to need to know these rules and go over them with your kids daily, so they can like have them in their mind. So whenever they're having trouble sounding something out, instead of just reading it for them, hey Kimberly, instead of just reading it for them, you can ask them, well, what happens if L comes at the end of a word? Oh, well, it's usually doubled. You know, the consonant's usually doubled. So these have helped us tremendously. And then, of course, there are sight words that they're just going to have to memorize because they don't go with phonics, like to, right? We should say toe or ta. If we're going to go with the O at the end of a short word, usually says its long sound, we would say toe. And if we're going to go with the phonics, we would say ta. But no, instead it's to. So it's just a sight word. From, F-R-O-M. You just have to know it. You, right? Like, you just have to know it. And there are some words. Said, S-A-I-D. It should say said if we're following the way A-I usually goes. That it's said. And there are some words, and in my curriculum that we do, we go over them pretty often, but there are some words that they're just going to have to memorize. You know, like when she's reading and it says, said Tom, and she's having a hard time, and she says, said, I'm like, well, remember, this is a sight word, and it's like automatically, she's like, oh yeah, said. She just knows. Okay? And then, of course, there's the G and C. Sometimes they say G and K, and sometimes they say their soft sound, which is J and S. And how do you know when that is? Yes, absolutely. That is how they learn. When they're young, memorization is key, which is why we send our kids to Awana, because they're memorizing Bible verses. Hey, Bethany, and memorizing scripture. And that's when their minds can soak up God's word the easiest, right? And memorization is key. Key. In homeschooling and in school, period. So G and C, when does it make its short sound like J and S? And if G or C come before an I or an E, then the G and C usually make the short sound, or the soft sound, actually, the soft sound. So like giraffe, we're not going to spell it. We're not going to say it giraffe. We're going to say it giraffe because the G came before an I. Or gem, G-E-M. It came before an E, so we're going to say it's soft sound, J. City, C-I-T-Y, comes before an I, so we're going to say soft sound, S. And then, I can't think of anyone with C-E. I'm sure there's one. But anyway, so those are just some of the rules that I have, that Becca uses, that I have found extremely helpful in teaching my kids to read. And I'm no genius by any means, but both of my kids, I mean, Juliet's not quite 6 and she could read pretty well, and Wyatt's in 3rd grade and he reads extremely well. So I know that these rules work because it's worked on both of them. Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's going to be kids that have other things going on. You know, like when my daughter gets her D's and B's mixed up, it doesn't mean that she's dyslexic. It just means that she's a kid and she's getting them mixed up, right? But sometimes there's more going on, and then yeah, that's when you could take them to get evaluated and stuff. And there's absolutely, I encourage that. Like, I think that that's great, because we want our kids to have the best start in life, and we want them to get the help that they need to get, no matter what the issue is, right? And if that's reading or writing or speaking or whatever it may be, motor functions, like, you got to do that. I can write these rules out better and send it to anybody that would want to see the picture of it, and start implementing it. I'm telling you, you're going to see improvement in your kids' reading if you go over these rules with them every day, and if you sit down and read with them every day. In school, we read together every day. We go over blends, like it'll just be a big list of like GATISO, you know, and she's just got to go like I forgot what I even said, like ga, si, ba, tuh, you know, like she just has to read them, and then she's got to do it long, and it's just constant practice like that, and practice makes progress. And rules are so handy because they memorize, right? I mean, sometimes there's so much more going on than we even know. And then, you know, with my son, there's other rules that have helped too, like learning that the English language, we never end a letter in J, right? So like fudge is not going to be F-U-J, it's going to be D-G-E. So just learning little things like that helps them, because y'all, spelling is important, writing is important, and one day they're going to have to get a job and fill stuff out. And I've seen so many like young teenage kids and stuff, like they don't even know how to spell. You know, and it's very important, I think, to be able to read and write very well. And so I hope that these rules helped. If they did, I would love if you let me know in the comments. I truly do love Abeka, and I get very frustrated with homeschooling a lot of times, I'm not going to lie. But in the end, when they are reading and they are writing well, they're getting their math problems super well, and I can know that, hey, I'm the one that taught them how to do these things, there's great reward in that. So anyway, that's really all I got for y'all. So yeah, that's about it. So hopefully this was helpful. If you catch the replay, please put #replay. Y'all let me know that you're watching. Show some support and love. And that's all I've got. I'll talk to you later. Have a great Friday evening. It's Friday, right? Yeah, Friday evening, and a wonderful weekend. Bye.